What if the greatest wealth you'll ever access isn't locked in banks, businesses, or opportunities, but hidden within your own mind? Today, we're diving into a truth that most people overlook, a forbidden wealth trigger that's been right in front of you your entire life. Inspired by the teachings of Joseph Murphy, this speech will challenge how you think, what you believe, and ultimately, what you attract. Because once you unlock this hidden force, nothing in your external world can stay the same. The subconscious mind stands as the true origin of all wealth, a vast invisible reservoir that shapes every financial reality you experience in the outer world. Most people chase money through endless hours of physical labor, risky investments, or desperate networking, yet they remain trapped in cycles of scarcity because they never tap into this hidden source. Dr. Joseph Murphy revealed that your conscious efforts alone can only produce limited results, but when you align with the deeper intelligence within, abundance flows effortlessly and without the constant grind that exhausts so many. Think about it this way. Every great fortune in history began not with a pile of cash or a lucky break, but with an idea impressed upon the subconscious. The inventor who visualized a revolutionary device, the entrepreneur who felt the success of their venture long before the first sale, the artist who sensed prosperity in their creative output, all of them activated this inner mechanism. Your subconscious does not distinguish between what is real and what is vividly imagined with feeling. It accepts the dominant mental impressions you feed it and then orchestrates circumstances, opportunities, and people to bring those impressions into physical form. This is why some individuals seem to attract money magically while others, working twice as hard, watch it slip away. The difference lies not in external conditions, but in what has been programmed into the subconscious bank. Your subconscious operates like a universal financial institution, magnifying whatever you deposit into it. Deposit thoughts of limitation, fear of bills, or resentment toward the rich, and it will compound those into tangible lack, unexpected expenses, stalled opportunities, or relationships that drain resources. But deposit the idea of wealth with conviction, and it multiplies that idea into avalanches of abundance. Murphy often explained that money is simply a symbol, an idea in the mind. It is neither good nor evil. Its nature depends entirely on the consciousness directing it. When you understand that the real gold mine exists within you, you stop looking outside for permission to prosper and begin mining the infinite ideas, insights, and creative solutions already stored in your deeper mind. Consider how the subconscious controls every vital process in your body without any conscious effort: your heartbeat, digestion, breathing, and healing. In the same automatic way, it can manage your financial life once you give it the right instructions. It knows no boundaries of time or space. It can draw resources from unexpected sources, a sudden business idea that solves a market need, a forgotten contact who offers a lucrative partnership, or an inspiration that leads to a product people desperately want. The conscious mind reasons and plans, but it is limited by what it already knows. The subconscious, connected to infinite intelligence, accesses knowledge and possibilities far beyond your current awareness. This is the forbidden trigger because society trains us to rely only on visible, logical steps, ignoring the invisible power that has created every empire and every breakthrough. People who struggle financially often carry subconscious convictions of unworthiness or scarcity planted in childhood or through repeated disappointments. They might say, money is hard to get, or rich people are greedy. And without realizing it, these statements become commands to the subconscious, which then arranges life to prove them right. Murphy taught that wealth is ultimately a subconscious conviction. You do not become rich by merely repeating, "I am a millionaire," without genuine feeling. Instead, you grow into a wealth consciousness by repeatedly building the idea of abundance into your mentality until it feels natural and true. The feeling of wealth produces wealth. Keep this principle in mind always. When you can mentally dwell in the state of already being prosperous, your subconscious accepts that as the new normal and begins to externalize it. Imagine waking up each morning and consciously choosing what to impress upon this powerful inner partner. Instead of revealing worries about debts or shortages, you could affirm that infinite riches surround you and that a gold mine of ideas exists within. You could feel the joy of financial freedom, the ease of generous giving, and the excitement of watching money circulate freely in your life for good purposes. Your subconscious responds best to repetition combined with emotion. A quiet, relaxed state before sleep is especially potent because the conscious mind steps aside, allowing suggestions to sink deeply without resistance. Many have transformed their finances simply by lulling themselves to sleep with the single word wealth, or by mentally rehearsing scenes of prosperous living night after night. The subconscious never argues with you. It does not question whether your desire is realistic or deserved. It simply takes your dominant thoughts and beliefs as orders and works tirelessly to fulfill them, drawing on universal forces to do so. This explains why positive thinkers who maintain an attitude of expectancy often experience lucky breaks that others dismiss as coincidence. There are no coincidences in this system, only the outworking of inner mental patterns. When you shift from struggling for money to allowing it through aligned consciousness, doors open that remain closed under the old mindset of effort and strain. Murphy warned that trying to accumulate wealth solely through the sweat of your brow is one way to become the richest person in the graveyard. True prosperity comes from smart use of the inner power, not endless outer toil. Look at nature for proof of this principle. A tiny seed planted in fertile soil contains the complete blueprint for a mighty tree. It does not struggle or force growth. It simply expresses its inner pattern, drawing nutrients, sunlight, and water as needed. Your idea of wealth is that seed. When planted in the fertile soil of your subconscious with faith and feeling, it grows naturally, attracting every resource required for its full expression. You become the gardener of your financial destiny, selecting only the thoughts that support abundance and weeding out those that promote lack. Over time, this cultivation changes not only your bank account, but your entire experience of life. Greater confidence, better opportunities, more fulfilling work, and a sense of flow where everything seems to support your prosperity. The treasure house of infinity lies within you, waiting to be opened through mental eyes that recognize its presence. Infinite intelligence governs all things and can reveal perfect plans for your success at any moment. When you quiet the noisy conscious mind and turn inward, solutions emerge, creative ideas surface, and the path to riches clarifies itself. This inner guidance has led people to invent groundbreaking technologies, discover new markets, or negotiate deals that seemed impossible. It can do the same for you once you establish the habit of consulting this deeper wisdom rather than relying only on limited human reasoning. Your financial condition today is a perfect reflection of the ideas you have held about yourself and money in the past. The good news is that you can rewrite that programming starting now. Every thought you entertain is creative. Every feeling you sustain is impressing the subconscious. Choose thoughts that align with prosperity, thoughts of plenty, circulation, gratitude, and wise use of resources. Reject any suggestion of limitation by immediately replacing it with a constructive alternative. Say to yourself, I accept greater good in my life now, and feel the truth of it. Your subconscious will then move to make that acceptance a living reality. As you continue feeding this inner mind with visions of success, you will notice subtle shifts at first, a new idea, an unexpected refund, a helpful conversation. These are signs that the programming is taking hold. With consistent practice, the shifts become larger and more frequent until abundance becomes your normal state. You begin to see money as a friend that flows to you and through you for positive purposes. You release it with joy, knowing it returns multiplied, because that is the law of the subconscious when impressed with the right feelings. The power within you is spiritual as well as practical. It connects you to the same creative force that sustains the universe. When you align your conscious desires with this force through the subconscious, you participate in a divine flow of supply that meets every need and provides a surplus for enjoyment and contribution. This is not about getting rich at someone else's expense, but about claiming your rightful place in an abundant world where everyone can thrive when operating from the correct inner foundation. Many have used this understanding to rise from poverty to plenty. They stopped condemning money or envying the wealthy and instead blessed all forms of prosperity wherever they saw it. They cultivated a genuine love for the idea of wealth as a tool for good. They visualized themselves living in the desired conditions with vivid detail and emotional intensity until those mental pictures felt real. And in time, the outer world rearranged itself to match the inner conviction. Your subconscious knows the way to every solution and every resource. Trust it by giving it clear, positive directions backed by faith and feeling. The real source of wealth has always been this inner power, hidden in plain sight yet overlooked by those who focus only on external methods. Once you recognize and activate it, you gain access to unlimited creative ideas, inspired action, and magnetic attraction that brings opportunities to your doorstep. You no longer chase success. It flows toward you because your subconscious is now working as your silent partner in prosperity, magnifying every seed of abundance you plant. This understanding frees you from the illusion that wealth depends on luck, connections, or relentless hustle alone. It places the control firmly in your hands through the mastery of your own mind. Continue to impress upon your subconscious the truths of plenty, the joy of circulation, and the certainty of ever-increasing good. Let these ideas sink deeply until they become part of your automatic thinking. Watch how life responds when the deeper mind is aligned with wealth consciousness. The results will speak for themselves as new levels of financial freedom unfold naturally and harmoniously, proving beyond doubt that the subconscious mind truly is the real source of all wealth. Poverty is a mental disease and not a financial one, a profound truth that Dr. Joseph Murphy declared with absolute clarity because it strikes at the root of human limitation. There is no virtue in poverty. The latter is a mental disease, and it should be abolished from the face of the earth. You are here to grow, expand, and unfold spiritually, mentally, and materially. Yet countless individuals remain trapped in cycles of lack simply because they treat poverty as an external condition rather than the inner mental pattern it truly is. When you recognize poverty as a sickness of the mind, you gain the power to heal it just as surely as you would address any physical ailment by changing the thoughts and beliefs that sustain it. Your financial struggles do not originate from the economy, your job, your background, or bad luck. They stem directly from a subconscious conviction of scarcity that has been built over years through repeated thoughts of limitation, fear of not having enough, envy of those who seem to prosper, or early conditioning that equated money with difficulty and struggle. A man with a poverty-type mind finds himself in poverty-stricken conditions, while another with a mind filled with ideas of wealth is surrounded with everything he needs. This is not coincidence or fate, but the impersonal operation of the subconscious mind, which magnifies whatever idea you impress upon it, whether wealth or poverty, and expresses it as your outer reality. The subconscious accepts your dominant beliefs without question and works ceaselessly to bring them into tangible form to opportunities, circumstances, and even the behavior of others. Consider how this mental disease manifests its symptoms in daily life. People afflicted with it constantly complain about rising prices, insufficient income, unexpected bills, or the unfairness of the system. They focus on what they lack, rather than on the abundance that surrounds them in nature and in the creative potential of the universe. These repeated negative impressions sink into the subconscious, which then arranges life to confirm the belief. Jobs that pay just enough to scrape by, investments that fail at critical moments, relationships that drain resources instead of multiplying them. The feeling of lack becomes dominant, and because the subconscious responds to feeling more powerfully than to mere words, more lack appears. Affirmations like "I am wealthy" often fail for beginners precisely because the inner feeling of poverty contradicts them, creating mental conflict that only reinforces the old pattern. This disease is contagious in a subtle way. Children raised in homes where parents repeatedly voiced complaints of "we can't afford it," "money doesn't grow on trees," or "the rich get richer while the poor get poorer," absorb these suggestions like sponges. They become conditioned to poverty before they even understand money. Later in life, even when external opportunities arise, The subconscious programming sabotages success through self-doubt, procrastination, or poor decisions that stem from an underlying belief that they do not deserve plenty. Murphy pointed out that many carry a sneaky subconscious feeling that there is some virtue in poverty, perhaps drawn from misinterpretations of spiritual teachings that glorify suffering or warn against the love of money. Yet true spiritual wisdom teaches that you have a right to be rich, to have all the money you need to lead a full, happy, prosperous life, and to use wealth as a tool for good. The cure begins with the realization that poverty is not your natural state. It was never intended that you should lead a life of indigence or constant struggle. The infinite intelligence within your subconscious is ready to supply every need and provide a surplus when you impress it with thoughts of abundance instead of lack. Just as a physical disease has identifiable causes and can be treated by removing the cause and introducing healing elements, poverty as a mental disease can be eradicated by uprooting limiting beliefs and implanting constructive ones. You do this not through willpower or forced positive thinking, but through relaxed, repeated impressions that carry genuine feeling until the new idea becomes dominant. Observe your own inner dialogue for a moment. How often do you entertain thoughts such as, "I'll never get ahead," "success is for other people," or "I have to work twice as hard just to survive"? Each of these is a seed of the poverty disease, quietly programming your deeper mind to produce corresponding experiences. The subconscious does not argue with you. It simply accepts what your conscious mind decrees and brings it to pass. If you decree limitation through worry, resentment, or self-pity, limitation appears. But when you consciously choose to reverse this by affirming and feeling the reality of supply, circulation, and ever-increasing good, the old pattern begins to dissolve. Never finish a negative statement. Reverse it immediately, and wonders will happen in your life. One of the most powerful ways to heal this mental malady is to treat your subconscious like a universal financial institution that compounds interest on whatever you deposit. Deposit ideas of wealth, and it returns compounded abundance. Deposit ideas of poverty, and it compounds lack. The choice is always yours. Many who transform their finances started by quietly repeating the word wealth to themselves several times a day in a relaxed state, especially before sleep, when the conscious mind is less resistant. They visualize themselves living in comfortable conditions, feeling the joy of having more than enough, and blessing the money they already possess, no matter how small the amount. This scientific imagination, as Murphy called it, impresses the subconscious deeply because it engages both thought and emotion. Criticizing money or those who have it only deepens the disease. When you resent the wealthy or view money as evil, you push it away from yourself subconsciously. Money is neutral, a symbol of exchange and a tool for expressing life more fully. Get the right attitude toward it by seeing it as a positive force that flows freely when your mind is aligned with prosperity. Bless the money you spend, knowing it returns to you multiplied. Bless the success of others, because in doing so you affirm the same good for yourself. Envy and condemnation are symptoms of the poverty consciousness that must be released if you wish to be cured. Your environment and financial condition today are the perfect reflection of your habitual thinking. Change the habit and the reflection changes. A person who habitually thinks in terms of lack will attract conditions that mirror lack, while one who cultivates thoughts of plenty will see opportunities, creative ideas, and helpful connections appear as if by magic. This is not magic, but the law of mind in action. As you sow in your subconscious mind, so shall you reap in your body and environment. The poverty disease thrives in a mind filled with fear, doubt, and limitation, but it cannot survive in a mind saturated with faith, expectancy, and the conviction of abundant supply. Healing requires consistency and patience, just as treating any chronic condition does. At first, the old feelings of lack may rise up to challenge your new beliefs, creating temporary discomfort, or even seeming to worsen conditions as the subconscious brings hidden patterns to the surface for release. Do not be discouraged. Continue to impress the idea of wealth with calm confidence. Use techniques such as quieting the mind, relaxing the body, and mentally accepting that infinite riches are now flowing to you in expected and unexpected ways. Feel the reality of financial freedom as already true, and let that feeling sink deeply. Many have cured themselves of this mental disease and risen from apparent poverty to remarkable prosperity. They stopped identifying with lack and began identifying with the abundant nature of life itself. They understood that the same creative intelligence that sustains the stars and provides for every creature can just as easily provide for them when their mind is open to receive. They replaced thoughts of not enough with more than enough, thoughts of struggle with thoughts of ease and flow. Over time, their outer world reshaped itself to match the new inner conviction. Poverty as a mental disease keeps people small, fearful, and dependent, preventing them from expressing their full potential and contributing meaningfully to the world. When healed, you step into a larger life where resources support your dreams, generosity becomes natural, and creativity flourishes. You realize that true riches include not only money, but health, peace, love, and self-expression, all of which begin in the mind. The subconscious knows no limits. It can draw ideas, solutions, and opportunities from the infinite storehouse of universal mind once you remove the blocks of poverty thinking. Guard your mind carefully against any suggestion of lack. When bills arrive, instead of panicking, affirm that you have the wisdom and supply to meet every obligation easily. When others speak of hard times, quietly affirm the opposite for yourself without argument. Your words have power to cleanse your mind of wrong ideas and to instill right ideas in their place. Speak of prosperity, expect prosperity, and feel prosperity, and the subconscious will respond by opening new channels for money to flow. The disease of poverty has plagued humanity for centuries because so few understood its true nature. Once you see it clearly as a curable condition of the mind rather than an unavoidable financial reality, you gain the key to permanent freedom. You stop fighting external circumstances and begin working intelligently with the inner cause. You align yourself with the natural flow of abundance that is your birthright, and life begins to support you in ways you may never have imagined possible. Continue feeding your subconscious with thoughts that affirm your right to live abundantly. Let the idea of plenty become so familiar that it feels more real than any past experience of limitation. Watch how the symptoms of the old disease fade. Worry diminishes, opportunities increase, confidence grows, and money circulates more freely. This transformation proves beyond doubt that poverty is indeed a mental disease, fully healable through the wise and persistent use of your own subconscious power. The feeling of wealth creates real wealth, a core principle taught by Dr. Joseph Murphy that unlocks the hidden mechanism through which inner states materialize as outer riches. Your subconscious mind responds not primarily to words or logical arguments, but to the emotional tone and vivid feeling you generate around any idea. When you cultivate and sustain the genuine feeling of already being wealthy, prosperous, and abundant, that internal atmosphere impresses itself deeply upon the subconscious, which then acts as a universal magnifying force to bring corresponding conditions into your experience. This is why mere intellectual affirmations often fall short. They lack the emotional charge that turns thought into conviction and conviction into tangible results. Wealth begins as a state of consciousness before it ever appears in your bank account or lifestyle. Murphy emphasized repeatedly that the feeling of wealth produces wealth, just as the feeling of success produces success. Keep this truth in mind at all times. Your subconscious functions like a vast financial institution that compounds whatever you deposit into it, whether ideas of abundance or scarcity. Deposit the lively feeling of financial freedom, ease, generosity, and joyful circulation of money, and it will multiply that feeling into real opportunities, creative ideas, unexpected income, and harmonious conditions that support greater prosperity. The subconscious does not question the validity of your feeling. It accepts it as an order and sets about orchestrating people, events, and inspirations to make the feeling objectively real. Imagine for a moment the difference between thinking about wealth and actually feeling it. Thinking might involve reciting positive statements or making lists of goals, but feeling engages your entire being, a warm sense of security, a quiet excitement about future possibilities, a relaxed confidence that supply is always available. When you enter this state, even briefly at first, your body relaxes, your breathing deepens, and resistance fades. In that receptive mood, suggestions of abundance sink effortlessly into the deeper mind. Many who applied this discovered that their financial picture began to shift not through frantic action, but through consistent cultivation of this inner feeling. A business owner who once worried constantly about cash flow started spending a few minutes each morning and night, mentally living as if his company was thriving, feeling the satisfaction of paid invoices, happy clients, and growing profits. Within months, new contracts arrived, old debts cleared naturally, and revenue increased without additional advertising. The power of feeling lies in its ability to bypass the critical conscious mind. Your conscious reasoning might say, this is unrealistic given my current situation. But a sustained feeling of wealth carried with faith overrides such objections. The subconscious accepts what you feel to be true more readily than what you merely say. This explains why some individuals with modest starts suddenly experience breakthroughs, while others with advantages remain stuck. The former had managed to generate and maintain the inner feeling of prosperity despite outer evidence to the contrary. They subjectively possessed the wealth first, and the objective manifestation followed as a natural consequence. Murphy often illustrated this by noting that you do not become wealthy by repeating, I am a millionaire, mechanically. You grow into wealth consciousness by building the idea and feeling of abundance into your mentality until it feels natural and believable. One practical way to generate this feeling is through relaxed visualization combined with emotion. Sit or lie comfortably in a quiet place. Close your eyes and allow your body to become still and heavy. Then in your imagination, picture yourself living the prosperous life you desire, walking through your ideal home, handling financial matters with ease, enjoying the freedom that comes with surplus resources, or sharing generously with loved ones. Do not force the images. Let them arise gently while you infuse them with genuine positive emotion, gratitude, joy, relief, excitement. Feel these qualities as already real. The more vividly and feelingly you do this, especially in the drowsy state before sleep or upon waking, the deeper the impression on your subconscious. Night after night, this practice reprograms the inner mind, dissolving old patterns of lack and establishing a new dominant feeling of plenty. Criticizing money, resenting the wealthy, or complaining about expenses quickly destroys the feeling of wealth. Such attitudes generate the opposite emotional tone, contraction, bitterness, fear, which the subconscious then magnifies into more limitation. Instead, develop the habit of blessing all forms of wealth wherever you encounter them. When you see someone enjoying success or handling large sums comfortably, silently affirm that the same good is flowing to you. This maintains and strengthens your own feeling of abundance. Money is a symbol of exchange and a tool for expressing life more fully. When approached with the right feeling, it circulates freely and returns multiplied. Trying to force wealth through endless hard labor without the supporting inner feeling often leads to burnout and meager returns, whereas aligning the feeling first makes outer efforts more effective and enjoyable. Consider how the feeling of wealth influences daily decisions and perceptions. A person steeped in this feeling notices opportunities that others miss, a chance conversation that leads to a partnership, an idea that solves a problem profitably, or a skill that suddenly gains market value. The subconscious, impressed with prosperity, guides you subtly toward right action at the right time. It draws resources and people who match your inner state. Those living with a chronic feeling of lack, by contrast, tend to attract draining situations, missed chances, and reinforcing evidence of scarcity. The difference is not luck or external conditions, but the prevailing emotional atmosphere within. Change the feeling, and the atmosphere shifts. The outer world then rearranges itself accordingly. Murphy taught that your subconscious is connected to infinite intelligence, which knows all ways and means to fulfill any sincere desire. When you dwell in the feeling of wealth, you open a channel for this intelligence to express through you as inspired ideas, perfect timing, and harmonious supply. You do not need to know exactly how the wealth will come. Your role is to generate and sustain the feeling while remaining open and expectant. Many remarkable stories emerged from this approach. Individuals who visualized and felt financial freedom while in debt saw debts dissolve through unexpected refunds, new income streams, or creative solutions they had never considered. The key was consistency in the inner feeling rather than sporadic efforts or desperate hoping. Build this feeling gradually if it seems distant at first. Start with small acceptances, feeling grateful for the money already in your possession, no matter the amount, and imagining it increasing comfortably. Bless your current income and affirm that it is multiplying. Feel the ease of meeting obligations and having surplus for enjoyment and giving. As these smaller feelings strengthen, they expand naturally into a broader sense of overall prosperity. Avoid mental coercion or straining to believe. Instead, use relaxation and repetition so the feeling arises effortlessly. The subconscious responds beautifully to quiet, confident impressions made in a peaceful state. Your words and thoughts should support rather than contradict the desired feeling. Speak of prosperity with conviction. Instead of saying, "I can't afford it," train yourself to think or say something like, "I accept greater supply now," or "money flows to me in expected and unexpected ways." Each constructive statement helps maintain the emotional tone of wealth. Over time, these practices recondition your entire mental atmosphere until the feeling of abundance becomes your normal automatic state. When that happens, wealth in its many forms, financial, creative, relational, flows more naturally because you are no longer blocking it with contrary feelings. The feeling of wealth also affects your self-worth and openness to receive. Many people unconsciously feel unworthy of plenty due to past conditioning, and this inner unworthiness sabotages incoming good. By cultivating the feeling of being prosperous and deserving, you dissolve those barriers. You begin to see yourself as a channel for universal abundance rather than a struggling separate entity. Life then supports this expanded self-concept with tangible evidence. Generosity becomes easier because the feeling of having more than enough makes giving joyful rather than fearful. And paradoxically, the more freely you circulate wealth with positive feeling, the more returns to you as the subconscious honors the law of circulation. In moments of apparent setback or delay, return immediately to the feeling of wealth rather than dwelling on the problem. Affirm that the infinite riches of your subconscious are now flowing to you and feel the truth of that statement. This prevents the negative emotion from gaining ground and keeps the dominant impression constructive. Consistent practice in this manner has transformed countless financial situations that once seemed hopeless. The outer changes may begin subtly, a small unexpected payment, a helpful suggestion from a friend, an idea that saves or earns money, but they gather momentum as the inner feeling deepens. Your subconscious knows no limits of time, space, or current circumstances. It can draw upon universal resources and arrange coincidences that are not coincidences at all. But the outworking of your impressed feeling, when you live from the feeling of wealth, you align with the creative power that sustains all abundance in nature and in human endeavor. Trees do not struggle to produce fruit. They express their inner pattern naturally. Similarly, when your inner pattern is set to prosperity through feeling, external expression follows without unnecessary strain. Continue to nurture this powerful feeling daily through quiet reflection, grateful acknowledgement of existing good, and imaginative dwelling in the prosperous state. Let it permeate your thoughts, conversations, and actions. Watch how life begins to mirror the inner richness you have established. Opportunities multiply, creativity awakens, confidence grows, and money circulates with greater ease and joy. The feeling of wealth truly does create real wealth because it reprograms the subconscious to act as a faithful servant in manifesting your dominant emotional conviction. This inner work, done persistently and with sincerity, becomes the foundation for lasting financial freedom and a richer experience of life in every dimension.